Hi, in this tutorial I want to show you how to use blueprint interfaces. If we play that we have this trigger represented by that lollipop, which has two states, on and off. When it's on is red, when it's off is blue. So we want to, sorry, black. So we want to connect this to some actors in the level, right, via an interface. So first, let's talk about what an interface is. If we talk about C++, for example, we have here two actors, the elevator actor and the spinning cube actor, that implement this interface. This interface is a pure virtual class, meaning it cannot be instantiated, right? That has two methods, the switch on and switch off. Both return nothing and they don't take any input. So since the class is pure virtual, if we inherit from it, then the subclass here, the elevator actor, needs to implement those pure virtual functions, right? So the same thing happens with the spinning cube actor. When we implement it, for example, from the elevator actor, if we call switch on, then this is translated into calling a start motion. Switch off is translated into stop in motion. And for the spinning cube actor, if we call switch on, we start the rotation, and we call switch off, we stop the rotation. This interface allows us to treat elements or instances of these two different classes as if they were the same class. So in this case, we are doing some conversion into a trigger interface pointer. And since the trigger interface has the switch on and switch off methods, then we can call those on each one of these two actors using the very same logic, right? So if we go back to our actors here, the spinning cube here, if you say, if you selected here the spinning cube, I added two methods that you can call directly for testing purposes, right? So we have the start motion, start rotation and stop rotation. And the same thing for the elevator that we have over here. It has the start motion and the stop motion, right? These are implemented as timelines. So when you call start rotation, we set the timeline in motion, and when you call stop rotation, we stop it. And for the elevator, the same thing. We start the updating the C coordinate up or down, right? Very simple. You have already seen this before. So what we want now is for these two actors, the spinning cube and the elevator, to have that switch on and switch off methods. So from the trigger box, we can call them indistinctively, right? So if you go back to the level, if you go back to the blueprint, here we have this target variable, which is of type actor, right? This is editable. That's why it has the icon there, which means that if we select an element of type BP trigger box in the level, we can actually set the variable from the details panel, right? So if you use the eyedropper here and then you go select one element in the level, right? It sets this variable target to that other element already placed in the level. So there is a connection now between these two guys. So the first thing that we're going to do is add an interface, right? We basically want to create what we have in C++ here. We want to create this code in Unreal. So we go here and we say create a new, we have here a type of blueprint, and it's of type blueprint interface. We're going to call this BPI underscore trigger. And then if we open it, you see that it has no viewport, it has no event graph. Here on the right hand side is asking us for the name of the function, because it must have at least one function, and we call it switch on. This function, if you go down here, it has an option to add input or output, but it doesn't have any input or output, just as our C++ version of it. We're going to add a second one, which is going to be called switch off. Okay, and as the other one doesn't have input or output, we compile, we save, and that's it. Because remember, we just need this. We don't have to specify any. We only declare these functions. We don't define them. So now if we go into the, for example, the elevator here, under class settings, we have, so you select class settings here, and on the right hand side, we have a little section here called interfaces. We are going to start typing trigger, right? And we have this BPI trigger that we just created. and do the same thing for the spinning cube, right? So you do BPI underscore trigger, and basically what we've done here by adding this interface here is basically the same thing that you do in C++ with this code. Just saying we are inherited from this interface, so whatever functions, virtual functions or pure virtual functions it has, we're going to implement them within this this other class, the child class, right? So now that we've done that, from the spinning cube here, we want to say switch on, right? So we add an event for switch on. See here how it has this blue print interface icon. It's telling us that that method comes from the interface, and we do the same thing for the switch off here. Same thing. Oops. And since we already had the functionality there for start the rotation and stop the rotation, we just have to tie those up like that. Okay. Reuse what we already have. Do the same thing here. So we call the event switch on, and we connect it to the start. Connected to the start motion, and then for the stop motion here, we're just going to call the event switch off. Okay, so that is done. So whenever we call the event switch on, we start motion or we stop motion. Now from the we play now, nothing is here. You see that? Because we haven't tied the trigger to the box. I mean, we've tied it in that, the target here is the spinning cube, and if we select this other target here is the elevator, right? But now we still have to go into the trigger box and draw an reference to this target, which again will be the trigger box or the spinning cube, and call the switch on and switch off methods, right? So we go here and we do switch on message from this VPI trigger, or we call the switch off. All right, and then we tie this up appropriately now. So we both call the switch on for the target, which is going to be the spinning cube or the elevator, and then we still perform the change of color of the lollipop to red or black, right? So we go back here, and now we play behave expected, spinning, elevating, stop it, and stop it. Okay, now if you want to use this functionality for anything else, you already have the trigger, that changes color whenever it's on, and then when we turn it off. And if we create a new actor that has a new on and off effect, we just need to add that interface and make sure that in the event graph we tie the switch on and switch off events of that interface to whatever functionality that new actor might implement. So that's it. Thank you.